Are you ready to take your organization to the next level and become a game changer in your industry? Then look no further. Welcome to Yokai Business Show, where we bring you the world's top business thought leaders to share their secrets to success, from leadership development to finance, marketing, self-development, human resource management, and much, much more. Our guests reveal the strategies, tactics, and mindsets that have made them so successful. So let's dive in and learn from the best in the business.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the show. It's Trevor Stockwell with you for this episode, and I'm glad that you've joined me today because my guest is Latrice Levitt, also known as Nurse Blue, and she's going to help us with regards to building and developing a wellness strategy that helps us to optimize our business activities, but also every aspect of our lives, whatever we're involved with. If we're not healthy, if we're not enjoying life, we're missing out. So Latrice is here to help us realign things if we need to, get back on track where we need to, and learn some new stuff that's going to help us improve our lives and the lives of everybody around us as well. She's the America's Soul Health and Wellness Coach and the CEO of Blue Light Coaching and Consulting. So welcome, Latrice. Thanks for joining us.
And thank you for having me, Trevor. And hello to all of the wonderful people who will be listening and watching this episode.
Absolutely. No, it's really great to have a chance to chat with you. Let me start off just by sharing one of your quotes with the listeners, because I think this sets the scene really well. So one of the things you say is, I help to create heaven on earth simply because I refuse to live in hell.
Yes.
Now, I know from some of your background, you've had quite a bumpy journey in life. You've learned a lot of stuff, navigated quite a few challenges on the way, which has all helped to bring you to where you are now and helping all the people that you do. So maybe just kick us off with a little bit of your journey that's brought you to where you are today.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, it starts with, I live up to my name, Blue, right? So Blue stands for build, love, because as a nurse, I'm invested in learning how to heal as a nurse, right? Yeah. And loving is the modality that I help people understand how to use to, create healing in their life if it's a chronic condition or otherwise, right? So build, love, unite, meaning, bringing us together and also mending the broken pieces within us, because that's really what healing is all about, and empowering people through soul health. Okay, so when you ask me a little bit about my background, I've been living up to my name, quite frankly, since I was born. I was born into a family that owned a radio station, a radio frequency. Right. So in my line of work, I teach people how to find the wellness radio station within them. And it's called 852 Hertz, which is unconditional love. And because I grew up in a radio station that was based in Chicago, Illinois. And actually, I'll tell you this, it's probably one of the most legendary radio stations in the country. But during its time, I was surrounded and exposed to high levels of leadership, business leadership, political leadership, entertainment figures. I mean, my father was most notably, he was obviously owner of the radio station, but he was most notably known for crowning Aretha Franklin the Queen of Soul. So that's why I'm doing soul health, right?
Nice. Yeah.
So that's why I said I was kind of born into it. But, observing life from so many different people from a very young age, and then having so much exposure to a variety of people from around the world, I realized that healing is something that is, and after actually being trained in nursing, healing is something that we can really master if we knew how to elevate our frequency. So that's what I studied. I studied the, various processes and modalities and research and tried to bring it all together. Because when you grow up at a radio station trying to solve problems as a child, you're like, okay, I'm here to solve a problem too. So I'm here to create heaven on earth.
Sounds good. That's a mission, isn't it? Definitely a mission. A challenging one. There's plenty of work to do to keep you busy. Yeah, but everywhere you go, you bring more of heaven, which is always a positive thing.
Yes.
Which is really good. Let me also just interject with another quote, because you're really good at quotes that just sum up things really well. So the keys to your best life lie within the treasure of your soul.
Yes.
It's just so good. I think everyone should just pause and think about that for a moment.
That's right.
Because it's so important. And I think a lot of the time, like, we get into business, we get into entrepreneurship, and we're focused on building the business, what we have to offer, who we're trying to reach, and all the rest of it. And as good as important as those activities might be, the soul element a lot of the time is almost like that's not business. I'll deal with that another time. Once I've made X amount or whatever, once I've reached whoever I want to reach, then I'll sort my soul out. But it doesn't really work that way, does it?
It does not work that way, because what you're doing is you're operating from a space of limitation, just even with that mindset. Because you really do, because we have been taught that we're human beings and we're not human beings. And I hope I'm not the first one to tell you that you're not a human being. Okay. What you are a spiritual being that has a soul, that has a human body, right? Yeah. And because we are so magnificently made, and there's so many dimensions to what we're made of, we're operating out of pure ignorance most of the time. So once we get back to understanding and accepting that, you probably don't understand that. I always make this analogy here. You probably don't understand that you're the cell phone and not the cell phone case. Because we always focus on the case and not the cell phone, right? Really? Yes. And, the thing about it, Trevor, is that it's really not as hard as people think it is. It really is not. So when you're operating from this whole idea of being a human being, you're really working much harder than really what you should be working. As a business owner, as an entrepreneur, we're always taught to go get it, or to make it happen. Yeah. And I understand that. And guess what? You can arrive there taking that route, making it happen. But it's a lot more stress that comes with that. And so as a nurse, people have to understand that our number one killer of human life is stress, chronic stress, right? Why is stress so powerful? Because we're learning how to cope with it. We're learning how to navigate it. We're learning how to accept it. How about we just get rid of it? And then what people don't understand is that stress, because we are so powerful and we are a spiritual being, which essentially, let me just break it down in terms of scientific terms here. We are energy. Yeah. And we function on frequency. So what I help people understand is that if you learn that you are energy and you function on frequency, first and foremost, what frequency are you functioning on in your life? Is it a high level frequency, which probably you would enjoy a lot more, because when you operate at a high level of frequency, you are experiencing joy, you're experiencing peace, you are experiencing more of what brings life to life, joy, love, abundance, and all of that. But a lot of business owners are building their business on lower level frequencies. Yeah. What's a lower level frequency? That can be frustration, it can be fear, it can be stress. And ultimately, when you're operating on those frequencies, guess what we're attracting? Oftentimes problems that show up as disease. So the worst thing we can do right now, understanding that we have this information available to us, is to, number one, not prioritize it, because we didn't have this information as readily available to us as we have before. But if you embrace it, what you're really doing is you are investing in a long-term health strategy, which is a long-term strategy for your business, because wealth without wellness is not sustainable. And what we're finding is that people are getting sicker and sicker. People are dying from preventable diseases, all because they don't know that soul health is the solution. Yeah.
Yeah, it's too easy to just take tablets, take some sort of medicine that's prescribed to deal with the symptoms and stuff, and not really get to the root of what's causing this in the first place and deal with that, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I like what you mentioned about just some of the almost the not byproducts, but like the fruit of being in the right sort of frame of mind, the right vibration, the right frequency. People will probably hear different things when they hear vibration, frequency, and things like that. But if we bring it down to the optimal way of living is sort of the experiencing love, sort of the genuine love.
Yes.
Walking in peace, enjoying what you do, isn't it? It's the positive emotions, it's the positive feelings that when we have them, we know we have them, and we know that that's our best state. But a lot of the time, for whatever reason, we don't stay in them, do we? There's things that pull us away, and I think a lot of the challenge, I think, for anyone, particularly leaders, is leading ourselves well enough to stay in those places of, our optimal selves. And that comes down to lots of different ways, the right sort of inputs, and a lot of the stuff that you're sharing with us now. So how do you start to help, or how have you helped sort of clients, I suppose, recognize, because you mentioned soul toxins, don't you? So things that just poison the soul, in a sense, or bring us down from the level that we should be operating on as spiritual beings.
That's right.
What are some of the sort of the ways that you help people recognize maybe they are sort of high in stress, but they're not focused on it, or they're not aware of it at that point? So just something practical that people listening, they can start to do some sort of soul inventory, if that's the right way of putting it, to see where they are.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, if you don't have peace in your life, or you're feeling powerless, or you're stressed, or you're angry, or you're frustrated, or you're overweight, you have soul toxins. Let's just put it there. And let me identify what soul toxins are, first and foremost, for those who may not be familiar with them. A soul toxin, and I will say that I was the first person I know of ever called it a soul toxin. So I'm going to say the Nurse Blue invented the term soul toxin until I'm challenged, okay?
Yep. Yeah.
But what a soul toxin is, I would say, given the fact that we are energy, it can't be created, neither can it be destroyed, but it can be transferred, right? And we are deeply connected to our family's energy, because if energy cannot be, it can be transferred. And if your family members had soul toxins, meaning negative energy that they have never dealt with, it's unprocessed pain, trauma, drama. Oftentimes, unbeknownst to them, they are directing and projecting that energy, maybe toward a child or business owner, whoever they're interacting with. It's going to come out. If you are receiving it, then guess what? Sometimes that energy is unconsciously lodged in your body, and that's called a soul toxin. And that can be generational. And soul toxins are things that it can be the way you were, the way food was prepared in your household. It tastes good to the tongue, but it was terrible for your body. And so now those same ingredients or those same foods are now creating an adverse reaction in your health. Soul toxins are belief systems that do not serve you. Soul toxins are those beliefs where you are stuck in a state of unworthiness, or you feel powerless and hopeless. Now, what we have been taught to do with soul toxins is to deny them, ignore them, maybe develop a habit to cope with them, lie about them, and build an ego around soul toxins. Now, here's the thing about life. You can only go so far before you have to deal with your soul toxins. So if you're building an empire on soul toxins, trust me, it's going to eventually fall, because it's not built on sustainable energy, because it has to come back to you. It has to come back to you. And sometimes those soul toxins are probably going to come back in a way that when you look at it, you'll say, "Oh, that was a blessing," because it may have been the biggest lesson that have come to you. I mean, one of my soul toxins was I was diagnosed with psoriasis, an autoimmune disorder back in my 20s, right? And I could not understand, how did this happen to me? Well, looking back on it, I lived through anxiety. Stress, anxiety, trying to overperform. I was born into a privileged background, a family that owned a radio station. So it was all about me living up to this huge pressure of this identity. Not to mention, Trevor, I suffered from being bullied in school. And I didn't know how to process the feelings and the trauma from that. And this is I'm talking about soul toxins that go all the way back to elementary school, grade school. So learning how to deal with that now, meaning taking the opportunity to love your soul back to health, means that you are going to enter onto a path, or start going down a path where you're going to start releasing so you can increase. You release so you can increase. So if you want to build your body, if you want to build your business on sustainable energy that comes back to you, that attracts abundance, that attracts wealth, good resources, people, and I've seen this time and time again, okay? If you're going to do that, you can build an empire for generations on good, solid, sustainable, healthy energy. But if we're going to continue to build a business, a family, a country, a city, what have you, with energy that we've not dealt with, and we have not been able to transmute or transform into a higher level of vibration, just by the laws of the land, just by the laws of physics, it's going to come back to us. Right? So I just tell people this: soul health is about telling the truth, being the truth, operating in your truth. And the truth of it is, that's really what unconditional love is all about. Yeah.
Yeah. That's our highest state, isn't it? When we're receiving and giving unconditional love, which is difficult, isn't it? For
yes.
a lot of people, for a lot of reasons. Yeah, it's difficult. I love what you say, because it's like, if we don't deal with the soul toxins, we're building short-term businesses or lifestyles or families or whatever it is that we're focusing on. And there's no longevity there, from either within our own sort of generation, but also looking ahead to sort of the legacy that we leave. We want to leave good things ahead of us for the generations to come. But like you say, if it's a lot of the things are family, or the roots are in sort of family environments or attitudes, or just however it is, we're not blaming everybody else. We take responsibility for who we are. But it's recognizing, isn't it, where there are influences from outside, which we've kind of accepted as, well, that's just the way it is. That's life. The world's not perfect. That's just my lot in life. And it's like, no, it's not, is it? What you're saying. And I fully agree with you, that we can take so much control over our own lives, not over other people, but over our own lives, and how we respond to different things, how we respond to people that maybe also expressing toxic stuff from their lives as well. Yes. If we handled it well, it doesn't affect us like it could if we don't handle it well.
Trevor, you're absolutely right. And you know what? Here's why I'm so passionate about this, is because there is so much evidence. I mean, we see it every day on the news. When you look at the news, the 24-hour news cycles, you're looking at soul toxins in action, right? Yeah. And I'm a music lover, because growing up at a radio station, our format, we were known for music, and then it later on became a talk format. But I'm a musicologist, because I use the power of music to help my clients elevate their frequency. When you look at some of the greatest people, I'm talking about Aretha Franklin, I'm talking about James Brown, legendary people, and here in our country, and also in Chicago is a legendary artist by the name of R. Kelly, Whitney Houston, you name these big Prince, Michael Jackson, they all died of soul toxins. Now, the toxicology report is going to tell you they died from some type of drug overdose, or R. Kelly didn't necessarily die. He's just sentenced to life in prison because of soul toxicity. But the reality of it is you can't escape it. It doesn't matter how famous you are. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter how successful you are, how many friends. It does not matter. The empire will fall if we don't deal with the past stuff, especially when it's generational. So soul health is really you taking ownership for this opportunity to live your best life. And the process of soul health is the pathway to you becoming the best version of yourself. So we can stop talking about, I want to live my best life, or I want to become the best version of myself. We actually can learn the art, the science, and the power of doing so through soul health. And I'm here for it.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. So I'm sure everybody listening as well, we're curious to know, like, what would maybe be one of the first couple of steps that people can take? We've sort of touched on maybe the first one, which is being aware of it and being honest with who you are and wanting to deal with it and kind of making time to prioritize that aspect.
Yes.
Rather than just procrastinate and make the excuse that you're busy with business and you'll get to it at some other point. So maybe that's the first step. Like, everything starts with awareness, doesn't it? If we're not aware,
yes,
we're not going to change it. But for everyone that thinks, actually, I've been listening to Nurse Blue, Latrice says, if I haven't got peace, then there's some sort of toxicity inside. So that there's an awareness there. What would be sort of the next step that people can start to think about, start to work through, or identify clearer maybe what the toxins are? How do you help people sort of get to the root of whatever it is that's sort of bothering them?
Great question. Well,
I know. But
I mean, naturally, call Nurse Blue, right? Go to soulhealthcommunity.com. That's what we're specializing in. But the most important thing, the first thing you have to do is be honest with yourself. The hardest thing for us to do is to be honest. If it's a problem, say, ouch. You know what I mean? If you are experiencing some dis-ease, don't talk yourself out of it and take a pill first. Really sit back and examine. And that's where self-awareness and emotional intelligence come into play.
Yeah. Where
you want more for yourself and you're trying to figure out how to get there. So once you get to that point and say, okay, I'm ready to do something about it, here's an acronym that's really easy that I give people. It's called BELLY, because usually soul health means that there's an imbalance that we're trying to correct, right? So usually what start pointing, the obvious sign is when we start picking up weight in our midsection, right? Now, a lot of people say, I'm just picking up weight and I want to go and, do something about it. They don't realize it's a soul health problem oftentimes, right? Now, the acronym BELLY stands for B, balance is what your body is seeking, okay? Yeah. E, we have to eliminate the source. It's not that you're eating too much. It's why are you eating so much?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go deeper. Let's keep asking why, right? So we have to eliminate the source. The source is typically going to be located, or it's going to at least change the rhythm of the endocrine system, because all of this stuff begins to impact our hormones. And when you are stressed out, cortisol is going to increase. And cortisol is that hormone that starts creating that belly fat. Okay. The endocannabinoid system. I want people to understand that there is a system in your body that they're not teaching us in medical and nursing school as of yet, but it is absolutely vitally important that you know about it. And it's called the endocannabinoid system. And you can go on YouTube and check it out. Or there's actually a brilliant doctor by the name of, her name is Dr. Knox she's TED Talk, Dr. Rachel Knox on TED Talk. She did a brilliant speech about it. But the endocannabinoid system the fact that it's absolutely important to you is because it modulates all of the other systems of the body. So when there's an imbalance in that system, you're going to have a problem. So you should know about that. L, learn what you are made of. It is not nurses and doctors' responsibility. We're not to control your health. We help you manage your health. Just like we don't make your money, like bankers don't make your money, they manage your money.
Yeah, that's good.
You manage it, but be willing to learn something different. A lot of times people think they've arrived and they know. We're living in a new world right now, Trevor. COVID has totally changed the game. We're on a new planet. If every week it feels like I'm getting an upgrade message from Apple, we get to upgrade our wellness strategy. Point blank, period. Our food is different. Our lifestyle is different. Our stressors are different. I don't care what your family ate 100 years ago. The food is different.
Yeah, it's true. Absolutely.
And here's the other thing, particularly for the other L for business owners, is that most of the time we're operating from the left side of our brain, right? That's that logical side, that analysis side. Okay, all right, the analytical side, I get that. But soul health is about balancing both hemispheres, right? So it's being able to be effective as a whole person so that you can feel. And that's why mindfulness is so important, because it keeps you in a feeling state. That's why self-awareness is so important, because you have to understand that we weren't taught emotional intelligence. And that's why so many people are suffering, because we're forced to now learn new technology, which is really old technology, but learn how to master muscle, working with new muscles that many of us have been taught that it's not personal. It's business, not personal. That means you shutting down your emotions. Right? But there is a place where we have to incorporate emotions into our business decisions and the way that we operate with our teams, our vendors, because we have to become more compassionate as a people to even embrace the love model anyway. And then why? Say yes to loving yourself back to health. You have to say yes to loving yourself back to health. Because that's where it all starts. People think it starts with the business. It does not. You're not in business just for you. There's a reason why every person who decides to go into business, whether it's for the love of family, whether it was for legacy, whether it was to make an impact or money, it's whatever it is so much bigger than the business itself. So start saying yes to loving yourself in a way that your business is growing over time. You can pass down this information generationally. We have to become conscientious about the fact that we talk about passing down generational wealth. It's time to pass down generational health and wealth.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's what soul health is, really. By time the disease shows up in the body, oftentimes we're too late. And one of the things that I strongly encourage, and I almost forgot this, I think that everyone should get a bioscan, which is something I do in my own business. What a bioscan is, it's a preventive tool. And it's in the world of quantum physics, but what we're doing is we're measuring what's going on at a cellular level. Because what people don't understand is by the time you go to the doctor's office, because we are not taught to prevent diseases on a medical or nursing level, the disease must be there.
Yeah.
So if you get bioscan, if you go into understanding how to prevent, defense win ball games, you have to prevent, So make prevention your wellness strategy. And now, hey, you have really helped to create balance on your life personally and professionally.
Yeah. Wow. There's definitely a lot there for people to think about. And I would highly recommend you listen to this episode again, because there's so much in there that Latrice has shared literally just in the last 5-10 minutes. Literally, the Belly acronym is really good. It's a good approach, a strategy to start developing your soul health. And there's principles as well that she's mentioned about sort of being honest with who you are. It's also a lot of the aspects, it comes down to liking who you are as well, isn't it? And if we, part of the honesty is like, do you actually like who you are, whether you're with somebody else or on your own? Do you like your own company? These are pointers, aren't they? That if we're not saying, yeah, something is flagging up that there's something that needs adjusting so that we get back on track. I think that's really good. Yes. We could talk for hours on this, and we really only just touched the surface, but you've got us thinking about, okay, where are we at this point in time from a business perspective? Is how I'm showing up affecting positively or negatively potential clients, relationships that I've got with current clients? Am I being toxic and not realizing it? These are some of the questions that, is worth just reflecting and asking ourselves, and asking somebody else as well, get their perspective on it, because we're biased, aren't we? We're not going to necessarily tell ourselves the whole truth. We need that external input. But it's such a key subject that you're saying. Like it would affect our business, but also the bigger picture, it affects our health, doesn't it? So whether you're successful in business, if you're not enjoying good health, if you make loads of money and you're not healthy, you can't enjoy it to the same extent. You can't do the right things with it.
That's right. You're still living in poverty. If you have loads of money and you cannot enjoy it, then who cares?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's like, why are we doing it if we're not enjoying the process? It's just like, life is short, isn't it? While we're on the planet, life is short. So if we're not maximizing our lives by being intentional about who we are and how we come across and express ourselves to others, we're missing a big part of sort of why we're here, really, I think. So it's really good that you're here. It's really good that you've shared what you've shared with the listeners, and for what you're doing in making the world a better place, the people that you help as well.
Thank you.
Just as we wrap it up, maybe for people that want to take the next step, they want to find out more about what you're doing, how you're doing it. I'm guessing the test you mentioned, you have to physically be there. So you have to be in Florida. If you're passing through, whatever, you can take the test there.
Yes, I live in Orlando. Everyone comes to Disney World.
Absolutely.
Right? So, of course, if you're here in this area, you can come and schedule a time with me for a bioscan. But if not, there are wellness coaches definitely throughout the U.S. and I'm sure throughout the U.K. You can look up bioscan technology. And I really think that is a great step to start your journey, along with, just being willing to do something different.
Yeah.
Is where it all starts. Deciding you want to go to the next level, because you can't go to the next level without it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In some ways, that's probably the most important sort of soul health principle that you shared, because otherwise we get stuck in a rut, don't we? What worked well for us years back, it's just not going to do it now, because environments change, because even in business, isn't it? We know you understand marketplace changes, customer sort of like requirements change, but we're still trying to do the same thing, or our message is the same, or whatever that might be for people listening. Such a key thing. So how can people touch base with you and just kind of find out more if they're not physically in Orlando at any point? How can they sort of learn more about you?
Oh, my favorite question. Listen, if you guys enjoyed this message, or if you want to learn more about soul health, come to the Soul Health and Wellness Club. So soulhealthcommunity.com. I created a home for the soul, Trevor, so that, people can really learn more about soul health, the modalities. And here's one, how I made soul health work for me personally. So the person who truly introduced unconditional love, frequency, all of this was my dad, right? And my dad passed in 2022. So for that full year, what I did is I wanted to learn how to process grief from a soul health perspective. So this year, on the anniversary of his homegoing services, which is our memorial services here in the United States, I actually launched the Soul Health and Wellness Club. And it's a place for people to come and live learn how to live at a high frequency, laugh, because that is so important in soul health. Are you laughing enough in your life? You'll be elevating your frequency. Love, you got to learn the art, power, and science of it. And learn about how beautifully created, what type of creation you are, at the core, at the core level. And I love to give, because that's a part of soul health. I love to give because it always comes back to you. So my gift to your audience is to come check us out for free for 7 days. That's my free gift to you. I believe in dating before getting married.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then after that, I make it really simple. It's just $9.99 a month. $9.99 a month. And then and then after this month, we're going to start incorporating classes with physicians and nurses who specialize in helping people to elevate the vibrational frequency of your soul, and who will help you really understand. And here in the United States, what I know what we're dealing with now are major shortages in our healthcare system. Okay. And if I'm not mistaken, you guys are experiencing that too, nursing shortages globally, but also there are about to be a shortage of doctors in the United States. Like, we're going to lose like 100,000 over the next couple of years. What does that mean? That means that there's going to be a demand for healthcare, and it's going to be a shortage of people available to support you. So soul health is absolutely important right now, especially for preventive, diseases and different things like that. So come and check us out and learn how to truly, what I'm super excited about, tap into 852 hertz frequency inside of you, that wellness radio station. And hey, I created a home for the soul. So just come home.
Absolutely. That sounds good. Yeah, I like that. Thank you, Latrice, for everything that you've shared. It's been really good. Hopefully people are thinking, hopefully for everybody listening, like, we talked about toxins and things like that, and all the things that can sort of bother us in life, in business and whatever else. There's always hope. If you listen to what Latrice is saying, like, we have control to a large extent. Yes. Sometimes we need help from others. Definitely. We can't do everything ourselves, but there's so much more that we can actually do if we're open to learn, if we're pursuing understanding, and if we're taking action. If you listen to any of the episodes on the show, we always encourage people to take action, because otherwise it's just knowledge. Knowledge by itself isn't going to change us. It's the action that we take based on the knowledge that we learn. That's when we really see results. That's when we see change. And everybody wants change, don't they? If we didn't change, we'd get stagnant. Things move on. We don't. We lose out.
Either you're growing. That's right, Trevor. I always tell people, either you're growing or you're dying.
Yeah.
Now, here's the bottom line. We all came to this planet to visit. That is something that we all have in common. We're here for a certain amount of time. Why not get the best out of the experience? And I've gone through enough pain to tell you that there is certainly a lot of sunshine and rainbows on the other side of it if you know how to release it. So, let me help you release it through doing a deep detox of the soul and learning how to use the principles of soul health to truly help you become the best version of yourself.
Absolutely. Wise words there. Thank you. Just as we wrap this up, thank you again for sharing your time, your wisdom, and your expertise with us. Definitely lots of things that we can think about and then take action on. And just as we close this, for everybody listening, what's the one thing so far that you've heard Latrice say that you think, actually, I need to explore this more. I need to do something else with it. I can't just stay as I am. I need to make some sort of change. And I'm going to look into and get help and reach out and find more things to move forward. Whatever that is, you've identified it. Take some action straight away. Don't put it off. You're too short in this life. Your life's too valuable. So definitely don't put it off. We could go on for hours, but we won't. So that's plenty to think about. Just as we wrap this up, remember that we believe in you and we believe in your potential. Don't sell yourself short. Until next time, bye for now.
Thank you for tuning in to Yokai Business Show. We hope you have enjoyed today's episode and have gained valuable insights and inspiration from our amazing guest. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review to help us spread the word. Also, be sure to check out our Leadership Ultimate Success Mastermind program, which is designed to help you and leaders in our community to do great things and support each other along their leadership journey. Until next time, live well, live with passion, know that the best is truly yet to come.